ladies' man, but I'm a man now. For courting 6 girls all at once, they used me. My mother said it was naughty, I should consider it bad. But I said if it's naughty, sure it's also very
Dust Up with Hilly and Lolly is brought to you by Mr. Ned Custom Men's Suiting in New York City. Whether you're a professional athlete, celebrity, or just a couple of softball bums like us, if you're ready to ditch the old dusty suit and stop dressing like an animal, visit Mr. Ned, located at 137 5th Avenue, New York City, and tell Varm Hilly and Lolly sent you. Welcome back, folks, to another episode of the Dust Up Debrief Sessions. Hilly, Shalesy, we're back after 5 months, I think, since we put out the first episodes, but we are coming back with a bang. We got Brad Ezekiel joining us for 2 back-to-back episodes tonight. But Hilly, looking forward to this after a 5-month stint. How you feeling?
Yeah, buddy. Feeling good, man. It's a little bit of a hiatus, but ball season's right around the corner. Actually, it started in most parts outside of Newfoundland, but yeah, now the time is right. Time is right to get back on the train here.
Yeah, Shalesy, it's that time of year again, man. It's in the air, and we couldn't ask for better guests to come on after a little break.
Man, we're only 3 weeks out here now, so everything's ramping up, and weather's finally turning here. So
perfect. Well, Brad, it's no secret people are going to read the guests and they're going to read the topics, so there's no sense of keeping it a surprise. Thanks for coming back on for a debrief session. This is nothing new to the 4 of us sitting around talking ball, having a debrief beer, but 2 good topics we're going to talk to you about tonight. But thanks for coming back on doing for this, buddy.
Thanks for having me, fellas. Good to talk to you guys and see you guys. And like I said, ball season is only 3 weeks away, so really looking forward to getting into this discussion.
By the way, Bradley, they wanted me to do the outfield bit, right? But I said, nah, I'm hosting a show. I said, probably get someone else to place the outfield,
yeah, that's right. We're going to talk, because we need someone to talk about the fella that sticks out in right field. And that, Bradley, maybe one of the questions would be, how do you compensate for a Jason Hill out in right field? But first topic. So debrief, as we know, we dive right in. We're going to try and keep her about 25 minutes so people can listen to it on their drive, but learn a lot, have a laugh along the way. So the topic for this first one is elite outfielding technique. And I don't think there's anyone better in the game right now, probably better in the history of the game that can talk about this. But I love that you're right in the thick of it, still playing, drawing a lot of recent experiences, a lot of really cool outfield game-saving moments that I'm sure all of our listeners are aware of that we'll dive into. But I'm going to kick it off right out of the gate. So we're going to keep this high level. It's not fundamental outfield technique. This is elite. And when you're playing on a top team like the Hill United Chiefs, Galway Hitmen, Team Canada, and you're starting center fielder, you're patrolling that outfield, how do you approach that responsibility? First off, to be the quarterback in the outfield, one of the captains on the team. How do you take that from the defensive perspective? How do you prepare? What are your thoughts on being the center fielder for a top level team?
Yeah, I enjoy it actually. Like I said, first thing is just to get on the same page with the right and left fielders, and even the infield. Like the shallow fly balls and stuff like that. So as long as everyone knows that, listen for me first, and then go from there.
On the field, I would say, especially being the center fielder, communication would obviously be key. I mean, a lot of the guys on the top teams have played against most players on the circuit, but there seem to be a lot more internationals, a lot more younger guys that are coming up playing at an early age at a high level. So I guess, trying to find out if any of your guys or any teammates have things on these guys, whether it's slappers or hitters, because I know we played against a bunch of guys last year, for example, that I didn't know who they were, and I'm just playing regular depth, and all of a sudden they fucking slap one down, so I guess communication would be massive at our level.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, there's a lot of Argentinians coming over now, so we're lucky to have a few of those guys on our team. And talking to like Bruno and Pecker and a few of those guys, like, the communication is huge, because even if one guy favors the opposite field, stuff like that I wouldn't know, like, it's as long as we can all talk about it before the game starts, have a plan, and try to prevent some runs.
Yeah, and what I love about the communication topic is, Shalesy, you've played infield, all probably three infield positions that, communication is key. You got to play with and against Bradley at that level. When you're playing in a big game, right, ISC championship game or elimination game, the circumstances dictate, what happens next, but the communication is key. What can you say about, your relationship when you're playing shortstop and second base with Bradley Ezekiel in the outfield in a big situation?
Oh, it helps a hell of a lot when you've got a center fielder that knows what he's doing. But no, we're always talking backwards and forwards, every hitter, making sure that we know who's who and where we're supposed to be and that sort of thing. But knowing having Bradley out there, especially from the other side of the fence, if you're playing against him, it's tough. You got to try and pick your battles, because you don't want to try to stretch that extra base on that arm, or there's stuff that usually falls for most people except when he's out there. So it makes it a hell of a lot more difficult when you're playing against him, but with him it's so much easier, especially the communication.
Now, we've seen it so many times, and it seems very effortless, dramatic at times in big moments. But Brad, you've made so many big catches, big throws, game-saving over the fence catches back when in 2020 or 2021 when we beat the Gremlins. In these big moments, right, with the game on the line, maybe a one-run lead, and you're out there when you're getting prepared for a Wayne Lalo or Ramaki or Anoka that's up at bat, knowing that they can put it over the fence, put it to a gap, or hit it on the ground up the middle. Maybe it's runners on second and third, we're up by a run in the late innings with one of these guys up. What's going through your mind in the outfield preparing if the ball is going to be hit to you?
Yeah, for those top hitters and guys like that who are a home run threat, and in a situation where runners are on second and third, for myself, for those guys, I'd probably take a step back to give myself a chance at the fence. But always trying to know if a pop fly comes, you want to know how deep you are, and if you have a chance at the plate, or if you're too deep, and another thing, you're relying on a bit of communication from your right and left fielder to help you out. But if you just want to take that safe throw to third and prevent that runner on second from getting an extra base, that's what you got to do. Sometimes you got to concede a run. But for other fellas who are probably like more of contact, more of slap hitters, I'm probably going to take a step in and give myself a shorter throw to try to get the runner at the plate, even if it's a base hit. And I think I can get the guy from second. Like I said, that extra step is really going to give me a chance to prevent that second run from scoring. So, like I said, it's all situational, but in those cases, that's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of leading into what I was going to ask, and maybe you already answered it to an extent. You hear all the time people saying, "Oh, such and such got a good read on that ball," or he took a good route to that ball. Like, so with regards to like your footwork and getting, like, you see those videos all the time of they're pretty cool actually, like the baseballers with the infielders, and they do that little hop as like their timing mechanism, and like a lot of them are like in sync.
Yeah.
So like with regards to that and your footwork and getting the jump on a hit ball, like do you have anything like that you do like that, like a timing thing, or is it just reactive? And like I know it's situational for who's at bat, but do you have anything like along those lines?
Yeah, I usually got the same type of setup. Like, I'm usually set up, and then as the pitcher is getting into his motion, I'm almost doing this little, if it's an outside pitch to a right-handed batter, I'm almost taking that little 1-2 step towards that way, because, if the batter hits the ball where it's pitched, you got that one step advantage, where if it's a line drive or a bloop, you might have a chance to catch it. But for the most part, I usually just take that 1-2 setup and kind of just wait for the ball at the bat to get a read, and then first step is huge in that, where could prevent the ball from going in the gap, prevent extra bases, stuff like that. So.
And just to follow
Nice.
up on that, like, with your signs and stuff, like, can you see the signs from center field, like from where you're at, or do you rely on like a relay or is...
A lot of times I can see the signs. Under the lights it's tougher, obviously, but my eyes are still good enough where I can see the fingers going down.
So far.
Yeah. But if I'm having trouble, I might get Shalesy or Shane to relay it every now and again, especially in certain situations with runners on base and stuff like that. But for the most part, I can see that.
Nice. Yeah, one question I wanted to ask you, mate, and I've been wondering this for a few years now, is on those routes that Jason was talking about, on those ones where you're heading straight to the fence and you're trying to get to the fence to rob this ball or take these game-saving catches that I've seen you take too many times. What is your thought process behind that? Are you running straight to the point at the fence that you think that you're going to have to jump, or are you following the ball the whole way, then searching for the fence on your last couple of steps? Like, can you talk us through that?
Yeah, like, when you see the ball hit well and high, you pretty much, your first two steps, you get a read on it. And if you know it's going to be back to the fence or somewhere like that, you pretty much just beeline, get back to the fence as quick as you can, and then try to find the ball. For me, like, those situations that I talked about earlier in 2021, it was pretty much see the ball off the bat and say, yeah, that's probably going to be a home run. Just get back there and try to find it as best you can when you get there. And, sometimes you might have to leap over the fence, and sometimes you just catch it at the fence. But yeah, it's pretty much just on those deep fly balls, get back to the fence as quick as you can, find the ball, and try to make a catch. Obviously,
Can you take your eyes off the ball and find the fence, or do you use your hand, or do you just know where it is at this point?
Yeah, after my first two steps, I can pretty much, like, not exact, but I can pretty much put my head down,
idea,
run
yeah.
to where I think it's going to be, and put my head up, with a couple steps before I think it's going to get to me, and then find it then.
Yeah, that's incredible too, right? And that's why we're talking about elite level outfielder, and that's what I want any young kids and emerging kids to hear this, right? Because it's, as much as it's physical talent and reaction and experience, it's a mental game of preparing and then reacting, right? And there's a lot of practice that goes into this, a lot of thought that goes into it as well. But we talked about communication, but on the field, especially on a top level team, there's certain positions that we would call take control positions. You got shortstop, you got catcher, and center field is one of those. And the responsibility, Bradley, of being the center fielder on these top teams, I know you take the responsibility of taking control of the outfield, being the guy that does communicate. In these big moments, that's become a little bit more natural for you now because you've been in so many of them, but taking control before the play happens, with your partners, talking to your infield partners. When I was on first base, we'd always have some signals that maybe if it's hit to you, you're going to go through me. If it's left of or going to right field, and then if it's going well down the line, the relays. Taking control before the play develops. How has that developed for you over the years, and what's your approach to making sure everybody's on the same page in the outfield, knowing what's going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, over the years, it definitely got a little easier. I always tried to talk as early as I can if I know I'm going to be able to get the ball. But in those certain situations where you really can't call it until you know you got it, so it's almost like you get into no man's land type thing, and you call it the last second. You really got to just know that your other fielders are going to bail out, or hopefully they call it before you you get to the last second. But as for that, and same thing with throwing through cutoffs. You know, it really comes down to talking before the game, knowing, like you said, with the cut to home, with yourself being go a certain distance, and then it's the cutoff, or the third baseman's the cutoff. So it pretty much just comes down to talk before the game. You know, communicate with your third baseman, first baseman, even balls in the gap, where you know, a lot of times your shortstop, if it's deep in the gap, the shortstop's probably going to be the one coming out to make that throw to the plate or third, right? So you know, everyone being on the same page is huge. So pre-game talk could be a game saver.
Yeah. Well, then these are the moments that we're talking about. They're game-saving moments. And at that level, a game-saving moment is a tournament-saving moment, right? And one of my favorite defensive plays to see develop, right? Sometimes you're part of it, but it's when the ball's gone to the gap, right? And say you're running to, whether it's, doesn't matter what gap at this point, but Shalesy, let's say you're shortstop, right? When you do that button hook where you're reading when Bradley's getting the ball and he hits you on the move, and he hits you in a way that you got the glove up and you're bang. Like there's less than a 1 or 2 second transition from when the ball goes in Shalesy's glove to throw a guy out at home. Let's talk about that play, Shalesy, maybe from your perspective, Bradley, and then if you can just jump onto it from what you're thinking, because you guys have done it so many times. Just that button hook when the ball's to the gap, with maybe a runner going first to home, that's fast.
Yeah, we've done it too many times over the years, but we're both on the same page. We're both trying to line up as straight as we can to the target. I'm usually a step off to the side a bit, but Bradley always serves it up straight at the target that he's trying to aim at. I can step straight across and take that ball on my shoulder and transfer it so easily. But he knows exactly where he's aiming, and I just got to make sure I'm in the right position to receive that throw.
Yeah, and you talked about the communication. So the ball's hitting the gap. Bradley's back is to the play. His fielders are communicating to him, okay, you're going to 3, or you're hitting the cut. Then the catcher's talking to you or to line you up with the outfielder where the throw's coming. Then you got to position yourself sideways, and then somebody on the infield got to let you know where you're throwing the ball. You're going home, or is he staying at third? So like, I mean, it all happens in what 3 seconds, you know? So
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you're not talking, well, there you go. You got to score.
Yeah. And Brad, just before we jump in on that, Brad, is just I'll give it a little bit more context to maybe a realistic play. You know, if that's the game-winning run that's coming from first base on that hit, like, everything rides on the execution of this play. And you know, it's so let's just say there is a really fast runner on first base who is balls hit to the gap. There's 2 outs, and we know you got to get this guy out at the plate. When you see that ball go to the gap, just walk us through from your perspective with a guy like Shalesy being your cutoff man at that point. Balls hit to the gap, you're in your ready position. Just take us through it.
Yeah, well, as I'm picking the ball up, you know, you got to have a look first. So you actually got to plan, have a look, see where Shalesy is, and another guy who's good at it too is Shane, where they stay far enough to the side where they give you 5-7 feet of like in between them and the base you're going to. So where you can, once you see them, just keep it to their glove side, whether it's 5-6 feet away from them, they're going to curl into it and kind of make you look pretty good. But the fact of getting it in as quick as you can, like you really gotta, like every second counts. So as soon as I look up, see Shalesy, get it to his glove hand, make him run into it, so he's moving with the ball. One, like he got 2 steps to make the throw to home, like, you know, and he, like, fellas like that make it so much easier when you see it actually work to perfection. It's a pretty cool thing. And like I said, if you can manage to save the game, it's pretty cool.
Yourself too, mate, is just, you don't have to go out as far. Like literally all we're doing is turn around our position, and we've got a couple of seconds to look and watch the play unfold and go, all right, well, we're lined up to here. So I don't have to make sure I run out 15, 20 feet to try and get to you to get the ball. You're going to get it to me anyway. You've got a cannon of an arm. So all I've got to do is watch the play unfold, see where I need to be, and you put the ball on.
And the key is and the key is no fielders. Just don't put it to your backhand where you got to turn around. Let you run into it, and you got a chance.
Yeah, Hilly, on this topic in particular, right? There is a saying that you don't rise to the moment necessarily. You kind of drop to your lowest level of preparation in these moments. So, how important is the repetition of this in practices? With a travel softball team, it's not like you're together. Like the Blue Jays are, and you're doing practice every day. You got to try and get on the same page and make the most of your practices. But going through these reps in these situations, Hilly, at a high level and then developmental levels, how important is that for anyone listening out there?
That's just it. That's the whole deal, right? Like, I mean, and I mean, a lot of these guys are national team players, so they're used to going to camps, playing on teams with guys that they haven't played with all year, so they don't have a whole lot of time to get on that same page, right? But these guys are so good at their craft and so good at what they do. They know how to make the plays, the fundamental plays, and those that little added communication and that little added that I know that I can throw this ball right there because even though he might not be there right now, he's going to be there to get it type thing, right? So like it's just it's having a lot of trust too in your teammates because I mean, we all know how to play the game, but the elite guys, they almost can do stuff. What's the word? Without even thinking about it. It's just muscle memory and becomes natural, right?
Yeah, and it's fun. I like how you put it. It's kind of sometimes you see hockey players as an example who've never played together before, and you put them on the same line, they just click, right? They know where to go. They can kind of anticipate what the other player is going to do. There's just that sync and in sync that happens, right? And you don't need to be playing together forever, but you need to trust in the ability of the other person that they're going to be where you think they should be. So it's funny how quick 25 minutes can go by when we're on these things. But there's one other topic within this outfield segment that I do want to throw out, Brad, and it has to do with the decision to lay out after a ball. Because that's one of the riskier ones, especially if you're laying out to the side or you're laying out with a ball in front of you, and then the risk of it skipping past you. What goes through your mind when you're making those judgment calls?
If the game is on the line, for sure. But it's tough, right? Like for those the line drives that are only a few feet off the ground, it's a bit tougher to take that chance and lay out because if it goes past you, it's probably a triple or an inside the park. Now your right and left fielders are going to be backing you up, I'm sure, especially on teams like ours. And but if the game is on the line, you're probably going to be a little hesitant to just if you aren't 100% sure that you can make that catch or keep the ball in front of you, you got to just ease up and keep the ball in front of you and get it in as quick as you can. But obviously, if there's a runner on second and there's a line drive where if you don't catch it, the game is over. You just got to go for it. Regardless of what the outcome is. It's just it's a split decision, and you just hope for the best, really. But
depends on the stakes, right? Like sometimes the stakes are too high. Sometimes the stakes are too high. You just got to let it drop, right? And pick it up. And like you said, sometimes you got to give up a run, depending on the scored inning, etc. Right? Like, but
just pray for no scorpions.
Sometimes you just got to. Sometimes you just got to look fucking cool and lay out one.
And there's no better catches than laying out and freaking saving a run or saving the game. But
Especially if you're taking a hit away from one of your buddies.
Yeah, that's the best.
Yeah, and we are talking about, we're drawing on a lot of experience of big moment plays that are successful, but they're not always going to go your way, right? We've seen times where you had to lay out, right? You had no other choice. The situation called for laying out, and maybe it doesn't happen. But I would rather see that 10 times out of 10 than laying up and not having someone out there with the conviction and belief in themselves to go for the ball like that. So I think we're all on the same page that, yes, you need to read the situation, but knowing that there's a guy out there like Brad Ezekiel, Shalesy, who's going to go, you're never going to question the effort, never going to question whether he's prepared to make the play, and you're never going to question whether if he has to lay out, he's going to lay out, isn't he?
100%, mate. Seen it too many times. No, it's awesome to watch.
Yeah, I love this topic. I think it's something that our listeners are really going to enjoy listening to. They're going to learn a lot from, and I'm excited about the next one that we got coming up. So we're going to keep rolling through this. They may, folks, come out at the same time, or they may come out with a week or two in between them. But it's great to be back talking about these debriefs. What I love about our podcast now, boys, is the randomness of it and the options we got. It could be a debrief session that comes out. It could be a long form interview and chat with someone we've never had on before. It could be one of these master classes with returning guests about a position, or it could be a future star profile of someone coming up in the game. It's great to be back, and I'm really happy that after a 5-week or a 5-month hiatus, we're coming back with Zeke here on an awesome topic. But we're going to wrap this one up. Thanks, folks, for hanging out for another debrief. We got Lucas and Nick here, a little bit of rum ragged to take us out.
Ladies man, but I'm a man now. For courting 6 girls all at once they used me. My mother said it was naughty, I should get it back. But I said if it's naughty, sure it's also very